What's up, Applied English? Welcome to our first virtual day of the semester. It's a planned one, as you guys know, but this gives teachers a chance to meet in building today while you guys learn at home. As it says, it's a virtual day. If you have not said a quick prayer, I would encourage you to pause this video now. Maybe say a quick prayer before you start our lesson video. As we've done in the past, we're using today as a vocab lesson. Alright, and I hope you've had a chance to pause and say a quick prayer before we move on through this video. This video actually covers two things. As you know, you're watching the Black History Essay Introduction video right now. So I will give you a little introduction to what we're doing in this month of February in today's video. Please know that vocab definitions for our new vocab set are going to be covered within this video. I'll do that after I introduce the prompt for the essay. So please note that I will give you definitions for our 10 new vocabulary words. As it says, on your own, please complete your vocab practice sentences. That is your assignment for today after you're done watching the video. Please note that I will be available in Microsoft Teams this afternoon if you need my help with anything. I do want you to get your vocabulary practice sentences done today so that I can get started on grading them tomorrow. It's kind of the idea with today's lesson. So if we go out to today's lesson folder, you'll actually see two things. You'll see Black History Essay Introduction, that's what you're watching now. You'll also see your vocab assignment. I just haven't placed that into our folder just yet. I'll do that in a moment. Let's check out this essay prompt. So you'll notice you have a file attachment here, Black History Essay Prompt. I'm just going to click View, just so we can see it together right here. There we go, and that's a good size. I just want to walk us through today what the idea is for the month of February. Now, I know if you check your syllabus, it'll say African American Literature. We're actually flipping February's and March's units this semester. So we'll do our essay first. We'll get really our biggest piece of writing out of the way this semester. And then in the month of March, we will follow up this essay with a study of African American literature, going through different genres. As it says, in our next unit, we will study texts that illustrate Black progress and Black excellence in American history. Our theme for Black History Month within our school this year is Black Excellence, and so I want us to focus on that in both of our units, our Black History essay, as well as our African American Literature unit in March. The articles, speeches, poems, stories that we'll be reading next month are only a few examples. The idea with this 2 to 3 page essay is to explore the life and legacy of an influential person in Black history. You'll see a list of 60 options below. I would like for you to choose from that list. We'll look at that in a moment. What your essay is going to cover in order, so to give us some structure for this essay, you'll cover the person's upbringing, so early life, education, any sort of circumstances that your person dealt with in the past. Accomplishments could be career, could be achievements, discoveries, those kinds of things. And lasting impact on society. So how did this person leave a legacy for future generations to follow? Topics are first come, first served. So as we look at our topic options in a moment here, I don't really want anyone within the same class to have the same topic. So please make sure, I just want you to know that these are first come, first served if there's a topic you really like. Just some ideas on what this essay will look like. It is an expository essay, but we're not going to write in the first or second person. There's really no need for I or you within this essay. We're also going to work on citing research that supports our thesis statements. So what we'll largely be working on this week and next week is collecting research and starting to plan out how we place that within our essay. We'll talk about how to cite it properly along the way. We'll work through the research process in this week's lessons. We'll have dedicated research days in class these next few weeks, so it's important that we have Chromebook access in our classroom. If you have your own device, that's totally fine. Just make sure you have Wi-Fi access in the school. Just some nitty-gritty things about the essay. Must include an MLA, heading, and title. We'll walk through that. 12-point font, double-spaced. We are typing this essay over the course of this month. And we'll be submitting them in Schoology as a turnitin.com assignment. I actually want to look at the time frame before topics. Let me scroll down a bit here. When is this boy due? Friday, March 3rd will be that turn-in date, that final date to get it turned in. So it actually bleeds into March just a little bit, but I'm hoping that we can enjoy Black History Month by diving deep into the lives of people who have shown us Black excellence. So this week, selecting topics, we'll begin research in class. Next week is also for research. We're also going to work on outlining our body paragraphs. And then we'll really wrap up the outlining and start drafting at the end of February, right there. We do have one more week. The last day of February, going into March 3rd, is just for finishing up this essay in class. One thing I won't walk through within this video is the rubric, how I'm scoring this thing. You'll notice that it's 80 points in total. So I think it's the second largest assignment all semester, but know that we're working on this thing all month. You can kind of read through that grading rubric on your own, and you will get a paper copy of this prompt in class. Really, the only other thing I want us to look at with this prompt are your topic options. I want you to start thinking about, realistically, probably 3 of these people that you'd be interested in researching, just in case your number 1 gets taken. So Mrs. Tan and I have kind of categorized these. We've got activists and writers in that first column. These are largely people who use their voices, use their ability to write, to fight for things like civil rights, fight for freedom from slavery, kind of voice the Black experience in American history, in different formats too. James Baldwin wrote fiction, Gwendolyn Brooks is a poet, whole mix of people, men and women, in this first category. Politicians, these are people who have actually served in positions of authority in U.S. government. Shirley Chisholm, I think she was the first woman elected to Congress specifically. Again, these are from different points in history as well. Some of these people are still alive, some are no longer living. Athletes, I could have added so much more to this column, but I limited myself on this one. These are largely Black athletes who have been pioneers for moving African Americans further in American sports, of all different kinds of sports on that list. By the way, I don't have time to walk through all of these people name by name right now. Could give you something good to research in these next couple of days before we select topics during our block day this week. Musicians, again, various genres, a lot of jazz musicians in here, because jazz was largely developed by African American artists. Actors, again, different points throughout American history, some still living, some no longer living. And then scientists, inventors, some of these are engineers and astronauts in this last category right here. Again, all throughout history, Benjamin Banneker, way back in the 1700s. Vivian Thomas, that was the doctor that Mr. Stern brought up in chapel last week. A lot of options in there as well. Again, I do want you to spend a little bit of time researching some of these names to find probably 3 that you'd be interested in. We will do topic selection in class during our block day this week. Alright, y'all, sorry if there's a weird jump in our video right there. The only other thing on our docket today is to talk definitions for our new vocabulary set. I do want to keep us moving forward with vocabulary, even as we focus on essay writing instead of reading. We've actually already worked through words A through E. I mixed them in on our Spider-Man vocabulary sets. That's why there were a lot of A words and C words and E words on our on those lists. Here we just have a list of words, 10 words that are good for everyone to know, between the letters F through K right up there. I'm actually going to work through these definitions rather quickly for the sake of time. My only assignment for you will be for you to work through your practice sentences for these words. It's good to read these ahead of time. So our words this time, starting from the letter F, are falter, foresight, fragrance. Some people pronounce it fragrance. I call it fragrance. Grueling, habitat, ignite, illuminate, impending, jostle, and knoll. And let me look parts of speech as well. How many of these are adjectives? I see 1, 2, only 2 adjectives. 1, 2, 3, 4 nouns. That means there's 4 verbs as well. So it's a very noun and verby list on this one. I'm going to do these one by one so you know these words well. About to happen or certain is impending. Impending is one of the tougher words in this list to use. You use it to describe an event that is certainly going to happen, right? So I might say something like, everyone in Milwaukee bought salt because of the impending snowstorm, right? That certain snowstorm that's about to happen. Everyone goes out and buys ice or buys salt ahead of time because they know it's going to snow. A noun, a small round hill or a mound is a knoll. Knoll is just a really good synonym for a hill. It wouldn't be an especially big hill, so keep that in mind for your practice sentences. This verb has 2 definitions. To stumble can also mean to hesitate in action or words. That one is falter. So if you mention that someone faltered, it could mean that they are physically tripping and stumbling. To falter could also mean to hesitate in action or words. Little Jimmy missed his free throws because he faltered at the line. He hesitated at the line. I'm sure you guys know a sweet-smelling odor is a fragrance. I'm sure we know that one pretty well, but fragrance is a good $10 word for an odor or a scent. Usually we describe fragrance as being something that smells sweet, that smells good. To push or shove into position is jostle. I'm sure a lot of you jostle when you play basketball, right? If you're trying to get into position on a rebound, you might be jostling with your defender on you. Just means to push or shove into position. You could jostle an object as well, right? Mr. Hantak really had to use his muscles to jostle the bookshelf against the wall. To set something on fire is to ignite. I would also note, ignite can mean to start suddenly, so it could mean physically to light something on actual fire, or it could mean to figuratively start a fire. If I were to say something like, Mr. Hantak ignited a debate in his classroom when he mentioned former President Donald Trump, or something like that. If I were to mention something that gets people really riled up, that might be igniting a debate or a discussion, to start something suddenly. Difficult to the point of exhaustion or extremely tiring is grueling. I should know, grueling is really similar to strenuous, that word that we saw for Ultimate Spider-Man. Again, do not use grueling or strenuous to describe a person. You would use these adjectives to describe a task, right? Lifting the buckets of water up the hill was grueling for Mr. Hantak. It was so difficult that it's tiring me out. I should note, an especially long test might be grueling as well, right? It's not physically difficult, it's mentally difficult to the point that it makes you tired. Wisdom about the future is foresight. The hint that I'll give you with foresight is to be really careful about its usage. Notice that it's a noun. So I wouldn't use it as a verb. I wouldn't say I foresighted that there would be I don't know, a train wreck in the future. That would be foresaw as a verb. Foresight is the noun. I had the foresight to jump off the train before it hit the car, or something like that. To brighten something with light is to illuminate. The root lum, L-U-M, luminous, luminosity, all means light. To illuminate means to shine light on something, to brighten something with light. Illuminate also has a second definition, meaning to clarify or highlight. So when I'm teaching you in class, I might be illuminating new information for you. Notice that illuminate has two uses. And our last one, the environment in which a specific plant, animal, or person lives is that creature's habitat. It does say use each of the following words correctly in its own complete sentence. I hope my definitions are helpful for you as you work through that part on your own. You will have these definitions available to you within your document. What I will ask, though, is that you are super careful about copying and pasting. I do know that some of these words are a little bit tricky, so some of you might be tempted to write use impending in a sentence. The best 210 examples, right? Here's the thing. If you copy-paste a sentence from the internet, I'll be able to tell that you stole it. However, what you can do is take a sentence and modify it, right? Whatever the case, the feeling of impending doom continued. I could Control-C that, paste it into my sentence, and modify it from there, right? So for impending, I chose this one because it's a little bit tough. So notice this, it's really easy to copy-paste sentences from the internet, right? First of all, I can tell that this is stolen because the font's all weird on it. But I could modify this to make it more my own, right? Let's get rid of whatever the case. I could say, we had a feeling of impending doom. I don't know, when the asteroid started, I don't know, coming toward Earth. I should capitalize Earth. That sentence is more my own, and that's acceptable when it comes to these practices. I've spoken long enough. I do want you to use the rest of your lesson time for me to write your own example sentences for these 10. I'll kind of grade them and give feedback throughout the week so that you're ready for next week's quiz on these words.